listening, I'd just like to remind everybody to give us a follow on all our social medias. That'll be things such as Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Let's Get Chatting Pod. We're there pretty much everywhere. But yeah, man, let's go. How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I've had a freaking long day. It's been it's just a lot of driving. So I live in England, so I drove from where I live to London, and it's like 4 hours there, 4 hours back, plus doing a day's work. So it's just like on a Friday, it's not what I wanted, you know?
Right. No, I get it, man. I work overnight, so I work all night, and then I get home and I podcast during the days a lot of times. So for me, I get it. A lot of days are crazy, man. Some days I literally had to cut my recording schedule down to one a day. I was doing like 2 or 3 a day. In the March alone, dude, it was just like, it wasn't worth it afterwards. I was like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, to be fair, I've slowed. I try and like bulk record. So like, I'll like maybe 1 week I'll just get 6 out of the way, so I can have like a week off and just be like, you know, and just chill out a little bit. So no, it's definitely hard, especially when you're like. Nobody who like people who don't have a podcast, don't run a podcast or manage a podcast, they actually don't get it. Like they don't understand the background, you know. So it's like the social media side of it, then it's all the admin and even the cost of running a podcast. Like people just don't understand it.
Yeah, no, I get that completely, man. Let people understand the work that goes into it, but then when you explain it to them, I've had tons of people come and go, "Hey, listen, I'm going to start a podcast. What does it take?" You send them the list. And you don't hear back from 90% of them because they're like, oh, well, never mind. I'm like, yeah, it takes a lot of work, doesn't it? And once you get it going, I'll admit in the beginning, it was rough. Like there's a lot of things I learned as I go because I'm only maybe a year and a half into this thing. I had another show prior to this I was doing for a little bit, just something we were messing around with a couple of friends, you know. And when I switched to this topic where I'm at now, it was just like so much happened. Like within the first like 2 weeks, I already had a podcasting network I was asked to be joined a part of. I'm like, well, I don't have anything recorded. So like, we already established that with them. I was like, well, you know, I don't have anything recorded. And they're like, oh, that's okay. It doesn't matter. It'll be fine. You know, right. Okay. We'll take care of all the costs, everything for you, all the stuff, you know. So they take care of all the program. I'm live all the time when I'm recording. My episodes are live. So people can comment in as we're live recording and things like that too. It's a little different. Well, okay, so I use a program called StreamYard, okay? So what happens is StreamYard broadcasts to my YouTube page, my Rumble, but then the network side, I have to have their socials, so like their Facebook, their Twitch and all that kind of stuff. So we're simulcasting to like 5 different places at one time.
Oh, snap.
Because it allows you to. So, and I can record off if I'm not live, that's fine, because that was the only requirement. If I go live, I have to use their socials as well. I'm like, all right, cool, why not? You know, it's more free exposure. Why not take it and run with it, you know?
100%.
So I'm doing like 5 days a week now. Originally it started as a weekly project, but now I just do like 5 days a week because I'm like, there's so much demand to be on the show. And that's just like, damn, because before the end of the year, I was already booked to the end of the year. Like, you know, comes like September, I've already had that much demand. So I was like, well, you know, let's add a second time slot on Mondays. Why not? Let's see what happens. Then again, end of the year, and I'm just like, whoa, okay, hold on, there's something here. We caught fire with this thing, you know. And in the beginning of the year, I was like, yeah, you know what, let's open the conversation a little further, see what else we can find. And ever since then, dude, this thing has still been booked. I think I'm out to almost August. No, wait, hold on. I'm almost into September now, currently, from like Tuesday to Friday. But Monday is still out to October. So I've got people already lined up all the way out to October already. And it's like, holy crap, dude, this thing took off so fast. And I was just like, this is so much going on at once. But I've had so many interesting conversations, you know, and things that have gone on. And
that's my favorite thing. That is my favorite thing about podcasting, is like speaking to interesting people and learning so much. Like, I feel like I've learned more through podcasting than I ever did or would have at like school or anything like that, you know.
I've made a lot of good friends too, man. A lot of people I talk to now that I wouldn't even met if I hadn't done this, you know. I've had people on have like bigger followings than I do. I've had the number 3 mental health podcast host of the hysterically speaking, Hillary Russo herself came on and talked to us, and you know, and things like that. And you know, I've had a person a few weeks ago. She has 2 million downloads, and she runs the podcast shit that goes on in her head, you know. And like I would have had an opportunity to do any of this stuff hadn't I started podcasting,
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So where is it you find your guests? Like what
Uh,
where?
I actually use podmatch.com. It's a site that this guy named Alex had made. And originally it was just a site to match people up, you know. Now you get a little kickback for doing them too. But
Oh,
the
cool.
guest quality you get like a full profile sheet and everything like that. And you know, for the $6 I'm paying to be a part of it, like it's been worth it the whole time because I've had so many great conversations. I've met new people through there, you know, and things like that. So it's been great.
I'm gonna write that down while we're talking because that sounds like my vibe.
Well, I'll send you my code. There's a code I
Ah,
can send you through all the stuff and all the information for that.
cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's great for anybody that's running a podcast and wants that does guests, you know, host people. It's a great site to go because you can put your profile completely on there and it'll tell you can tell what requirements of things you're looking for. So then it'll match you depending on what level you pick. So like I just have for the $6 base model, every 5 hours, they'll give me 3 new matches of people. Now
Oh,
I
wow.
can search people for the same topic that I'm looking for, certain areas of that topic I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And you can get some really interesting people along the way. Some people have been on like some TV shows and stuff like that. I had a guy that has a bunch of different agents and it's like a couple of agents that have different clients that you've probably seen on TV and stuff like that. He wouldn't name them by name, but he's like, you probably, if I start naming people, you probably would have seen them. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. All right, cool. You know, but it's been
That's
interesting,
pretty
man. It's
cool.
like, you know, we get into these interesting conversations because once you hit record, man, I don't pre-interview anybody. Like I just jump in with them and they're like, oh, this is something new. I'm like, I'm okay with it. I
Yeah.
can do it like most. And then the great thing though about it, man, is that Josh, you get to go down to the bottom of the page. It has ratings and people rate you. So like in my socials, you'll see like the different reviews that pop up that people have left me and things like that. So
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
great. So you get to see what people are saying about you. So you get reviewed already. So you can review them and they can review you. And it's like, you don't know what that
Oh,
other
that's
person's going to
sick.
say. You can say 5 stars, they could tell you 1 through 5 stars on that side. So, you know, it's been an interesting experience though, because like it's nerve wracking afterwards because you're like, oh shit, this conversation go well because you can think it's just completely the hell in a handbasket. The guest over there's
100%.
like, oh no, it's great. This was a great time. So,
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So, where did Pete versus Anxiety come from, and what's sort of like the idea or the vibe, should we say?
so Peter anxiety came about because I have my own mental health issues that I've been putting off for so long, you know, and it's funny because once you get into the topic of mental health, a lot of people don't want to talk about their own problems. So
Yeah.
I had an incident that sparked it that basically caused me to think about like, hey, I need to get myself some help because this is getting out of hand. So I was sitting there thinking, because I took a break from the other podcast I was doing, it got a little wild called Pete's Corner Store, where we were just recording some wild ass topics. So like I was sitting there thinking like, hey, listen, what can I do? And I was like, you know, and I was like, you know, I want to learn more about my mental health. Let's go look into that. Why not be a topic? Just started playing with topics and I came across that and I was searching. I was like noticing that, okay, you have doctor this, doctor that, doctors. But it's like, where are the people that are having the real conversation? Like just people having organic conversation about things. And it didn't exist.
Sure.
It was more like people questioning you. So it just hit me one day. It was like Pete versus anxiety. So the original logo to the show was a picture I had sent my wife when we were dating. I was doing Goofy, sent her something funny. So she restylized the
Yeah.
picture. So that was the original picture. So it's like me doing like something like this, you know, and it has Pete versus anxiety plastered on the top. And it just hit me one day. I was like, why not Pete versus anxiety? Because my anxiety is my worst enemy. So like I battle my own anxiety already. So then the idea became, like, you know, let's talk about mental health. Now, when it comes to mental health, you have to absolutely be careful because my wife and I were discussing this. She was like, you have to be organic. You can't can't be making jokes about things, you know, and stuff like that. You have to be careful how you
Yeah.
approach the subject because if people don't buy you, they're going to read right through your bullshit right away. So I was like, okay. So at first, it
100%.
was a little rough start at first because then I was picking guests, you know, on a certain way. And I was just like, you know, but now as it went going, as you see, as I start evolving as a person too, because I start discovering things about myself, which is great because everybody I engage with has something else to bring to the table. And, you know, right before this,
Yeah.
though, I accepted faith and things like that. So things started changing for me as soon as that point started happening. Like the show came up and then the network came right up right after I posted the idea because I was like on Facebook. I was like, hey, here's the idea for the show. You know, just kind of give them a quick synopsis of what I'm looking for. And some guy reached out to me, goes, hey, listen, would you like to be a part of this podcasting network? I'm like, okay, why not? And I was like, you know, like I
Yeah.
was telling you, it's like, well, I don't have anything recorded at all. And I didn't at first. I started recording a bunch of audio prior to September 15th, which is the start of the show. he's like, okay, well, this will be a little bit different because it's a live show, you know, and things like that. And we're going to be using this program. I'm like, never used the program. What the hell is that? And he's like, oh, yeah. Don't worry. I'll get you some passwords. You can go in there and play with it and stuff like that, too. And I'm like, all right, sure. Why not? So, after that, it was like prior to that, I was doing some interviews and things like that, too. I had like some Columbine shooter survivor. I think it was the last one I did right before the show started.
Oh, wow.
And that was an interesting conversation because she was in the same room with one of the shooters. Oh, yeah. But nothing crazy like yours, okay? Your story was nuts. But she's like, I'm there. I'm like audio, like, and you're like,
yeah.
I'm sitting there listening to this conversation because it was audio originally and things like that, too. So then when September 15th hit, the first person I ever had on the show was actually a 22-year military vet. And that was the craziest fucking story I heard since that day. You know, for right there, that was the craziest story. The next week, the woman tells me that she's like, I'm dead on the table 5 minutes. I'm like, hold up, here we go. I knew this conversation was going to get interesting, but damn, did I know we were going to get wild, you know? And then, you know, as it kept going, the crazier stories kept falling into my lap until we got a guy at the beginning of the year, which is a good friend of mine named Brian. Brian had come to me and we were talking about his app he's working. It's called the World Empowerment. He's basically working an app to help kids regulate their emotions as young as kindergarten. I was like, okay, you know, Brian and I were chatting a little bit. He seemed a little off. 30 minutes into this interview, this man starts talking about suicidal ideation. Now, Josh, for a lot of people, they go off the handle, bro. They don't know how to handle this topic because it's like, it's so real. It's like this guy's literally talking about, hey, Pete, this morning I was standing at the edge of the bed. I had the gun in my hand. I'm thinking about killing myself, you know, right before the show. I'm like, and I'm listening to him as he's saying it. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. This is getting wild, you know? And he goes away from the conversation and he comes back to it. But after that episode, it's like, oh man, we got something here because 18 people that didn't even know this guy were like, oh shit, is he okay? Is he doing it? I'm like, yeah, you know? You know, and a lot of people that know enough about suicide is if they're talking to you about it, it's great because men don't talk about that much. That's honestly, they're more likely to commit suicide versus actually talk about it. Now, ladies, on the other hand, will talk to you about it, but are less likely to commit suicide. And the numbers are just insane, you know, and since it's men's mental health anyways, it's just interesting to hear those things, you know, and the number keeps going up. It's not going down. You know, so we know this is a problem. We're not having enough of these conversations. So that's why Pete Fist Anxiety is here is to talk about mental health, you know, and at first the intro used to be like, hey, listen, you know, it's breaking the stigma that we're talking about mental health enough, you know, and it's like, because it is a lot of times as you think about it, how many people you know actually talk about what their mental health is? Not a lot. So
yeah, man, 100%.
I think it's more because people don't understand a lot of that shit. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've lost three male friends to like suicide, so it's something that like resonates with me quite well, like well, for lack of a better term. And like myself, it's like so I've got like a doctor's appointment to be diagnosed with whatever I'm being diagnosed with on the 20th of this month actually, which will be interesting. Like I know it's minimum ADHD and along with whatever, which is fine. You know, everybody deals with it a different way. So like you were mentioning earlier about like when you're talking about mental health, you can't joke or anything like that. But that's how I deal with it. If somebody talks to me about my mental health,
you know, it's not so much you can't joke about it. It's like, don't make a mockery of this. Basically, she's like saying it. She's like, you know, don't kind of like make it as you're joking with it, make like joking topics about it. Like you can joke about it because there's a guy I've had on named Dave Mowry, and Dave, that's how he dealt with his. It was just comedy. He was teaching people how to do comedy. And he'd make dark jokes about it, but it's like he's making jokes about himself. He's not talking about anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, so like we have a good time doing the show. Yeah. And well, look, see, there you go. Now you can come on and we can talk about what they diagnose you with.
Oh, dude, I'll come. Yeah, man. Listen, I got some fucking stories I could tell you. They're not all about me, but like mental health, something for me, it resonates with me quite well. Like, you know, I can't sit there and say I've ever struggled with like depression or anxiety. I'm quite socially awkward in general. But as I mentioned, I've had like 3 friends who have, you know, lost their lives due to suicide, and like my mum suffered, like she's been like instituted and all this sort of stuff. So it's something that resonates with me quite well in a sense.
Yeah.
but definitely like men's mental health is such a big thing these days. And I find like there's so many things that don't help. Like, you know, social media, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of positives, but when it comes to mental health and how people feel about themselves, it's probably the worst thing on there. Like, social media and the
Mm-hmm.
news are the two poisons to anyone's mind, in my
Yeah.
opinion. You know, like what's worse than going onto Instagram and scrolling through and seeing loads of dudes with six packs when you've just become a dad and you've put on a load of weight, you know? It's like, and then that affects you negatively, and that's for women as well, you know. And everybody's
Yeah.
like uses social media to brag and all of this, and it really can knock a man down, because in reality a man is supposed to be, not supposed to be, but men are designed to want to be an alpha. They're designed to want to be the best they can be. And when you're seeing yourself as a lesser person than all of these people, it's like that's where the shots get taken. And
Mm-hmm.
but I think one of the strongest things people can have with that is actually when I learn myself to look at that sort of thing and see people who are posting things like that for the likes, such as like topless pictures and all this sort of stuff, like that's an insecurity on their part. It's nothing for you to worry about. You
Yeah.
know?
No, and it's the scary part is when it comes to mental health, a lot of people start talking about it, start saying things like, they make different hints at things. And it's like, a lot of times when people get into it, especially males, we're not supposed to talk about it, is what they say all the time. They're like, oh, don't talk about your feelings. You're weak if you have your feelings. And to touch on the point, your alpha thing, actually, me and another guest, we had an hour-long conversation about negative self-talk, and that was one of the things she discussed. She said, did you know males have this tower system that we work on, but females have the want to just make everybody feel included type thing,
Yeah.
And it's funny when you say that, because that's what everybody says about males. It's like, we're not allowed to talk about these things. You can't have feelings. You can't be emotional. And I think that's where the main problem is that a lot of people are brainwashed at first, are told that, hey, listen, we can't talk about our feelings. We're men. We're not allowed to do this, and things like that. And it's alarming how many people think the same idea, or these guys have this image. Oh, you got to be this macho man. Da, 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 da. You can't have emotions, or you're a wuss, or you're, whatever you want to call it, pussy, whatever you want, all those things you want to say. You can say any of those things you want to call each other. But at the end of the day, man, we're more likely to commit suicide versus women. There's a problem there that we need to identify now. It's like you have too much pride. You don't want to talk about what's wrong with you, because I feel like the other side of the coin is a lot of people, when they talk about things, man, a lot of people shut down. They don't know what to say, especially when it comes to that topic. I told you, like, a lot of people just start freaking out, and guys start talking about, hey, listen, man, I'm having these thoughts, and then a lot of people start looking at you like, oh, well, you're just crazy, or, just stop having those thoughts, or cheer up, or stop overreacting. I'm like, that's great, but it doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, my brain doesn't let me do that. And, as I start digging into the topic, I start learning all these new things about just different aspects. And it amazes you to find out these numbers. And it's like, we know these numbers, but then we don't do anything about it. Like, school shootings happens here in the States, and they're like, oh, well, it's just mental health issues. So then what are we doing about this problem? Absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing. We're not addressing it. Well, there's gun laws. So, hey, listen, the gun didn't do anything. Okay. I think you're focusing too much on the wrong part of it, because we don't want to talk about mental health, because if we look at it, a lot of people deal with a lot of crazy shit, like, and then the other stigma is that everything is talk therapy. It doesn't always have to be talk therapy. There's so many different things out there people are doing. And the great thing about the show is that we highlight a lot of those people. There's people that do all these different energy healings and, different approaches. And, yoga shows up a lot too. A lot of people learn how to meditate and things like that, and it's so fascinating when you meet these people that are doing different things, because it gets so interesting though, especially in that range, because you don't know what people are dealing with. Like, I found out a couple people have BPD, and what that is borderline personality disorder. Now, what people think that means is that you have multiple personalities. I'm like, no, that's DID, but that's still not even what that is. That's basically just small little tics that people have. And I've had a few people on that you can see what they're doing. And if you watch one of them I had on, she just sit there and kind of like small little twists in her personality would just change. Like, she's just saying, like she's flicking a switch and she's changing personalities. And, it's so fascinating to see, because when it's right in front of you, it's different for everybody, because everybody deals with it differently. And, everybody has a different system to it. Like, I've had a few that have BPD. One was a rock star. She's actually a part of a band called Haunter, and she has like 600 something thousand downloads. And she has like
Oh,
all
wow.
these like followers. And when I got her was like 20,000. She has 20,000 Instagram followers. I just commented one day, hey, listen, what do you think about what's your thoughts on mental health? Turns out that she is a huge mental health advocate. And Lucy came on the show and me and her were talking and she was telling me like every day she questions who she is. And like, she's in this interview with us talking, we almost got her to tell us what the incident was. Cause a lot of times that stems from like a childhood trauma or something traumatic
Yeah.
that's happened that caused it to start having these issues, and a lot of times, another girl I met that wasn't on the show that I've been trying to get on, she says that hers is like cycling emotions. Like, can you imagine that? Like you're sitting there and it's like a kaleidoscope and you're just constantly turning and things are just keep going. And it's like, and then another person, the one with DID, man, like if you're watching her very slowly, she starts having these personality changes, and I love it when people, because they used to call it multiple personality disorder, which I thought was funny because
Sure.
I was thinking, first thing I'm thinking is that movie Split that they made, but the
Like
guy that had
Jekyll and
2020.
Hyde, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that too kind of bit. It's a little bit like that, but it's not so much your individual personality. It's more little tickers that happen. So, but if you watch her during this interview, she starts changing personalities. Like she'll start doing sudden little changes. And in the beginning, I would have never noticed these things. But now where I'm at now, like I've started learning these things and going down these different rabbit holes and stuff like that. It's been an interesting time though, like you learn all these new things, different things you see. I found it myself. I'm real sensitive to energy. So like I explain this weird moments, I've had some interesting moments though. I was talking to a woman once. She's like, hey, can I read something to you? And Josh, man, let me tell you, I stopped moving for like 30 seconds or 30 minutes, like almost 5 minutes. I'm staring at the screen like I'm staring at it, like literally staring at saying a word because what's going on around me is just nothing. Everything around me goes completely silent. The air conditioning is running. Mind you, the air conditioner in my house is running. You can hear it in the background on my side. I can hear this dogs barking, train to the distance passing, but it all stops suddenly. Like everything just goes completely like white noise. Like, shh. Everything silences out, and I just focus exactly on what she's saying. And whatever she's saying is having such an impact that I sit there, I don't say something, and then I stop. And then when she stops, she starts smiling like she knows what just happened because during the interview, we're talking about this entity she said she called spirit. Well, I tap into spirit when I write these books, and a lot of people listening would be like, what the hell is that? Like this lady's talking crazy, but you can watch me because I stop, I'm staring, and then I go into a complete panic afterwards because I'm like, oh God, let me tell you what happened. Da, 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 just start going up, and she's like laughing. So yeah, it's been interesting since day one, man. Like I'm telling you, I've met people who are more famous than I am are telling me, hey man, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm like, all I'm doing is having a conversation at the end of the day. Like, and dude, man, let me tell you, the conversation versus like drilling people with questions is great. And a lot of them, I think I had one person tell me, she's like, I didn't even know what to expect in the conversation. And she heard her wife run a podcast where they just kind of sit and ask questions. So Nikki comes on and she's like, well, I didn't even know what to expect after the conversation. She's like, Pete, I got to be honest with you, man. It's like, I didn't know what to expect in this conversation. She said, but within the first 2 minutes of meeting you, she's like, oh, I knew this was going to be a great conversation. And it feels good because it's like, I'm so good with people. It's just like, I don't think I've ever had a bad experience yet. I think I've had one conversation. A lady had to like limp through it, but I mean, it happens. So, some people just don't do well in a regular conversation setting, like, and it was interesting to see, but she's like, oh no, 5 stars. It was great. Da, da, da. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Cool. Because one of my thought, like, I'm like, oh, like this had to be a horrible interview. Da, da, da. And she's like, oh, my wife's like, listen, it'll be okay. Don't worry. And I'm like, I'm so hyper focused. My anxiety is focused on, what is that rating going to be? Because that's how people are looking at your profile. Like, I get people pitching me all day though, man. Like they can pitch you, you can pitch them. I get so many different random pitches from people that I've met and the conversations go great. I've talked about everything from your porn addiction all the way down to how your food affects you mentally and everything else like that, and the conversation just keeps going. And I look for more interesting conversation. Hell, I even read a breast cancer memoir. Let's get on that one. That was a fun one too, man. I was telling people I was reading. I was like, yeah, I'm reading this book. And I'm like, I'm reading this book. So I show them the book and they're like, what the hell is that? I said, what do you mean? One of my guests sent me this book. It's called, the mastectomy I always wanted. They're like, a mastectomy? For anybody who doesn't know what that is it's what they do. They take away your breast. It's a breast operation.
Yeah.
So the woman in the book shows you full frontal breasts. She has no nipples at all. Nothing. And I'm like,
Right.
whoa, okay, this gets interesting real quick. So the back half of the book is her journey to come back to reclaim her womanship. So like you watch her get a tattoo, the nipples getting tattooed on and things like that, man. And it's so interesting because I was like, I didn't know what to expect from the book. And then I was telling her, I was like, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed this. This was great. I think it's so interesting how vulnerable you were because you're sending this out to like, God knows how many people are looking at this. You know, your breasts are right here on the camera. Like you're not missing anything, like full frontal nudity in this book. She said that a lot of males reached out to her too and were like, hey, thank you for telling me because it gives me the insight to what people are thinking. And I just like, I get a lot of books I got to read too, man. I got a bunch of books I got to read. I've had authors on, they send me signed books. So
wow.
the eventual plan is when I get enough space, I'm going to set up a studio and I'm going to have those books back there behind me of things, you know, people I've been on the show and things like that too. And like a little scrapbook kind of thing that you can come see all the different guests I've had. Cause I had a woman who couldn't even have the camera on. That's how bad her situation was. But we were talking about narcissism. And that one triggered people too, man. Like, you know, a narcissist, you know, what they do, you know, and all that kind of stuff. You know, and she had wrote a whole book about it. It turns out she's only 50 miles away from me from where I was at. I was like, that's crazy because we were in the same area generally. And, you know, and I'm meeting her now and it's like, oh shit. Okay. All right. This is interesting, you know, and you know, we have interesting conversations regardless. The guy that is my audio side, because I have an audio side of the podcast too. He's like, funny story. He got upset because I was making jokes to him one day about something. And he goes, I just realized how messed up you really are. I'm like, oh, buddy, you haven't even heard the Pete versus anxiety story, man. We haven't got into the whole thing about this, you know, about things I went through and, you know, my narcissist ex and things like that. We had a topic about that too. That one I think was the most cringeworthy one so far for people. People were like half an hour into it. They're like, yeah, I got to stop. This is rough. I got to take a break because we were hitting so many points about things that people deal with because, you know, when you hear somebody's story, man, a lot of times you find that you can relate to people about what they're going through.
Yeah,
and we've
100%.
You know what I mean? We've had a lot of people doing that too.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a fair few episodes with people who suffer with like addiction, that sort of thing. That's sort of been our vibe for a little bit. You know, we try to touch on everything, man. Like we've had musicians on, authors, addiction, like addicts, life coaches, TikTok, like people who have been viral on TikTok. People
I got
on the new, like, you know,
I've got some fun ones for you, man. Trust me, I got a few that you have to meet.
We've been on some like, you know, some journey, but I find it that the ones where, you know, people who are struggling with addiction or they're in recovery, that's been something that even I listen to, like when I'm re-listening for editing, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, cool. How does that reflect on me? Because you're resonating with everything they're saying, but when you're so deep in the conversation, sometimes you don't have a chance to reflect on it on yourself because you're so engaged with that person, you know?
Yeah.
So there's been a few times where I'm like editing in post and I'm like, shit, wait, let me check myself first because I'm thinking, right, is this me? And like, do I have this trait? Do I have that trait? You know? And like I say, like anybody who ever asks me about like podcasts, I'm always like, the best thing is just getting to know different people and
it is
learning about them and yourself. And I find that's the craziest thing. I've learned so much about myself. Like, even when it comes down to talking about mental health or just a bit of self-reflection, is like, I would probably say before I started podcasting, I would have been the worst person to talk to in the world about mental health. I really would have. Like,
no, it's okay, man. A lot of people are, though. They don't understand these things because we don't talk about it enough. Right there's enough evidence
and that's
there.
The thing. That's it.
You're right. That's what it is. Exactly the nail in the head. That's why Pete for Anxiety exists, though, because it's more of a casual conversation like we're having now versus like I could drill you with 20 questions, but it's like you're going to get these like either robotic answers or, you know, something that just makes it feel unorganic, man. But the conversation's great. Like I had one episode with one woman. She just like at first was kind of real, like dry, but I got her going. I just kept amping her up. I'm like, listen, I got you. Don't worry. Listen, you know, it took about 30 minutes to get her in, but she just started going and she was bubbly and talking about herself and things like that, you know. And the thing is that we're live. So when we're live, there's no editing this thing. It's live. It's out there on YouTube. Everybody can see everything. And I like it, though, at the same time, because it's real for people. It's like, this is a real conversation. There's nothing edited. Nothing part cut out. Now, the audio side is a little more cleaned up. It plays like, you know, some ads for other shows and friends of mine that have other podcasts and things like that, too. ever since starting this thing, I've met so many people who started mental podcasts and like, well, I got a podcast idea, but everybody else has ones too. It doesn't matter what everybody else has. Like, keep that in mind, guys. If you're listening, if you have an idea, go just put it out there. Like, why
100%.
silence yourself? Why allow somebody else having one? Just make it's like, okay, there's 24 hours in a day. That everybody can't listen to one podcast for 24 hours. You know, they're gonna run out of content to listen to.
Dude, I advocate for that so much. Like when I say I've got ADHD, so I'm like really bad for like starting new things.
Mm-hmm.
So like even if you can just even look at the past 6 months, I've like started a YouTube channel about a gym review channel, collecting Pokemon cards, my podcast, gaming, Warcraft.
I see the anime poster behind you, by the way, Dragon Ball Super over there. Yeah,
dude, yeah. I'm a massive. It's so funny because growing up, I was always like this. I was sort of like, have you ever heard of the term sleeper car, where it's like it looks like a bit of a banger, but it's got a really good engine and it just flies, right? I was a bit of a sleeper nerd. So as you can see, I'm covered in tattoos. I used to go to the gym, short hair. So yeah, I was like a bit of a sleeper geek.
Yeah.
So in my visuals were completely different to my personality.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, and also like speaking about like personalities and things, I always held it back because when I was in school being like geeky into your Star Wars, your Dragon Ball Z, your Warhammer, Pokemon, all this was like pretty like, you were like a nerd. No one wanted to talk to you and so on, you know?
I think it's still that way though, man. I think about it with anime, especially people are like, oh, you watch anime? I'm like, I don't think you've ever watched anime. The minute you say that, I think you've never watched it. You haven't. It's not real cartoon. It's not different. Like. Is it?
It's so different. I feel like since over the past maybe 5 years, it's sort of geek culture has risen, and it's like now like for I don't know what to call, like, let's call them street kids, right? Because you know they've sort of like not gone down, but you know it's like the geek culture's risen, and that's sort of like the in thing at the moment. So that's where we're like. Anyway, just talking about all my anime stuff.
You're fine. Go ahead. I'm listen, man.
I love it.
We already said this conversation's going however we take it at this point. But no, man. I'm going to be in an anime podcast in July though, because I love anime, dude. I started with like Trigun was my first anime, and Dragon Ball Z was right there with the chew. Because right when we got home, right on that time after school, man, you click on the TV and it's right there. The next exciting episode of Dragon. It's like that voice just gets you so excited. And then 20 episodes later, the fight scene's finally over.
Dude, it's like one episode. I got Goku and Vegeta tattooed on my leg.
Oh, do you really?
On my
that's
other leg, I've got Darth Vader and Yoda.
There was a guy I was following, man. He had a whole sleeve of just Dragon Ball Z, big, burly, muscly dude. And he just had them all going down his arm and fitting all the different characters in and things like that, too. And I love Dragon Ball Z. My wife doesn't understand anime, but me and her, our first date, we went to first big event we went to a con, and we met the voice actor of Kid Goku and Kid Gohan. She's actually here in the area where I'm at. I'm in Texas, so the Dallas-Fort Worth area where I'm at. A lot of those guys are in this area, man. Like I met Whis' a cousin that voices Whis. I met his cousin. I don't remember how me and her met, but she was like, "Yeah, my cousin does a character, this anime voices." I'm like, "Oh shit, really?"
That's
sick. And that's how the whole conversation started. And that's all we were talking about. Nothing else. It was like, oh, I was just looking for someone new to have a conversation. Hey, great. That's awesome. Let's talk about your cousin that does voice acting. Turns out it's his name. He's Weiss. So I got it signed. She got it signed for me. I have like the little pop figures. I have a bunch of signed. So I'm on a mission now to get them all signed for the all actors. I think the other ones I'm missing now are Goku, Vegeta, both the androids, Krillin, and Bulma and Chi-Chi. The only other ones I'm missing, like those four are the only ones I'm missing right now out of the core people. I don't have a Yamcha one signed either, but like I find a lot of them online though, and I've had friends across the states here that have picked up different ones for me. Like I got a signed Hercule, and it's the Super Saiyan one where it has the, and stuff like that. Because Dallas is great because it's a big nerd hub here. Like these guys have everything.
So you're in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually moving to America.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I'm just waiting on my visa, and I'm moving to Tennessee. Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's
my fiance. She's from the States, so she's actually from California.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, and we've got a little boy together. So I'm just, like I say, I'm just waiting on my visa, and then I'm
That's so
Boom.
awesome, man.
I
Hell yeah,
can't
man.
wait.
We'll have to figure out some time, maybe meet up sometime, dude, because I think it'll be a fucking blast. Telling you right
Yeah,
now,
man.
Dallas Fort Worth area, bro, they got this giant con that happens in June, and it's massive. There's people going there dressing up and stuff like that too. I won't make it this year, but I haven't made it yet, honestly, to any of them, because I just don't have time. A lot of times I'm busy working a full-time job. I do this, you know,
Sure.
but there's so many different little nuggets around here that people doing different cons and things there. So I'm always constantly looking to see what people are showing up, you know, and it's because it's so cool when you get to meet these people. I don't think I've ever had a terrible experience. You know, they say don't meet your heroes, that type of thing. I think that's a
Yeah.
little overplayed, honestly, because, you know, I think that at the end of the day, it's how you approach a lot of people, you know, and and we all know it as that, you know, most actors are introverts, so they don't really like they like you get no recognized, but a lot of times they don't like to get crowded and things like that. Nobody does. Nobody likes to get crowded. You crowd somebody in
Yeah,
the
I
corner,
think
they're gonna lash out.
they sort of understand that it's like their duty in a sense, but they're sort of like they know they have to do it, but they probably prefer not to, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, they're like, oh, fuck, here we go, somebody else, you know? And dude, that's funny because a lot of people come up to me and go, hey, listen, I like what you're doing. And I'm like, I have to think for a second. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? You're listening? Oh, your podcast. I'm like, oh, my podcast. That's right. Because at first I
Yeah.
didn't really talk about what I was doing because I don't know why I felt so embarrassed about it, but it was such a hard
Same as
topic
that.
because when you bring it up, it's a hard topic to bring up to people. But then
Yeah.
when it got easier, now I could sell to everybody, you know, but I've always had that ability to talk to people and relate with people on a weird level, you know. And this pastor I met that used to come into where I work, because I work at a convenience store. So he came in and was hanging out and he's like, Mr. Peter, did anyone ever tell you that you have a weird ability to basically get along with anybody? You can have a general conversation, make most people feel comfortable within seconds. And I started noticing it little by little when I look back at it, because I've had people tell me some wild fucking stories. Like I had a guy say his one of his friends, he got caught in a shooting situation. Said the car went right past him, went to the car behind him where the guy and the girlfriend were at, and I just started hearing her screams. And he walked up, saw the guy's body laying there, and he's looking at it, and he's making the 911 call. He's calling him for help. Oh my God, help. My friend, I think he's gone, is what his exact words were. And he's like, in the 4 weeks that this has happened, Pete, no one ever asked me how I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, think about that, man. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You didn't ask this guy what's up, or something got mentioned to him. He's like, yeah, it's destroying my home life because they said they know something's wrong. You need to go get help. I'm like, yeah, he needs to go get help. So, but help him get the fucking help. Don't leave him hanging like that. You can clearly see the guy is struggling. How about asking for 2 minutes? Hey, listen, how's your mental health today? So that's where that conversation spawns off. So when I sign up, I always say, don't ask how your day is. Say, hey, how's your mental health today? Because if you think about it, if I said, hey, how you doing? You could say, hey, and that's it. Conversation ends. But
That's
if I
a
go,
greeting,
hey,
right?
yeah.
So if I like, you know, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm
Oh,
always
you'll
like,
learn
how you
this when you
doing?
get here, by the way. You'll learn that they have a lot of interesting greetings. So get ready for that one.
Yeah. I say, so I come over, I come over to America for 3 weeks every year anyway. At
Okay.
the moment,
Sweet.
we visit her family, but I always make a point of like, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, how you doing? And they're like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm like, yeah, but how are you? You know,
Exactly.
Yeah, I always add that, yeah, but how are you doing?
Yeah.
To just get that extra sort of, because like you say, as men, it's like, what's up? How you doing? Yeah, good. You? Yeah, sweet. And that's it. And we were talking earlier about like the whole alpha thing and all of that. And I think in my head, in my opinion, and you know, I grew up with my grandparents. I lived with my grandparents for a long time. And they instilled some like really good values into me. And I actually find that the biggest and strongest and most alpha of a person who's someone's in touch with themselves physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's more complete, honestly. I think that's what a real man is. Anybody that's can admit that they have problems and can talk about those problems. You know, alpha males is what society wants us to believe are the top dogs and everything else. But really, you can't talk about your feelings. You over here all swollen, jack, got your shoulders. You can't even put your shoulders down. You walk around, but you can't talk about your feelings. Come on, dude. Stop.
Yeah.
We know you're a pussy at heart. You know, and
There's
then
too
a lot
many
of them are
people watching Andrew Tate.
You know, that's funny you say that. That is right. It's just that guys like him are just making this bullshit narrative that, oh, you can't talk about your feelings. You talk to women like this. Like, no, dude, stop being a bitch, honestly, and have a real conversation and then see how much of a man you are. Because if you can't talk to the other person, like, you know, your girlfriend, you can't talk to your other half or your wife or whoever else, then what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, I don't get a lot of these people that are like, oh, well, oh, no, we don't talk at all. You don't talk at all? You guys don't say hello to each other? You pass each other and no 2 words are exchanged? Really? What the fuck kind of relationship are you guys having here? Because, you know, it's just so weird to me because me and my wife, we have open dialogue about everything. Like, we talk about every fucking thing. I don't think we've ever think, you know, we had a real honest conversation.
These
you're right.
are the issue. When I have
you know,
dinner,
and it's funny you say that because at 5 p.m. this goes to silent mode. I put it down and it trips my wife out because she's like, why are you doing that? I said, listen, it's more because I learned that I have an addictive personality to certain things. Like, I get really addictive. Like, video games were really addictive for me at first, you know, and things like that. So like, we can go all day. Me and her will play like Overwatch or something. And I've basically created a monster with that one because she didn't play a lot of games online.
You are literally explaining my life. She's obsessed with Fortnite now. She's on it right now. Like, oh my fucking God. And I'm like, dude, I don't even play it anymore.
We'll have to play some Fortnite sometime. I play everything, dude. Like that. I play Rivals. I play a mixture of games. So, you know, like Diablo was huge for me for the longest time. And when we met, she's never played a game online. So she got trolled, bro. You should have seen this shit. It was funny. I'm like, oh, so you got trolled, huh? She's like, yeah, I got in this game. And these people start talking and they're like, shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm like, oh, you got an interesting one. Okay. So you got trolled, huh? Oh, what the hell does that mean? I'm like, it's exactly what you just experienced. Like, she thinks it's funny when I do it. She's like, she gets mad at me when I start saying some shit to people. I get heated up and I'm like, all right, let's go. Hey, hey, you suck. It's a terrible habit I have. I'm working on. So I try to have to message so many people or say crazy shit, but her friend is egging me on going, listen, we need to go in there. So like, I've defended people before. Like, I got my chat banned on my Xbox because somebody had said something to somebody. I'm like, dude, you're talking to a female. One, you're calling her a bitch and all these other things. Like, you don't need to be derogatory towards her. First off, bro, if you have a fucking problem, come talk to me. I'll yell with you all day. Let's go. Don't take it on these women that are playing games and things like that. Because this is why a lot of them don't want to talk to half of you, because you act like fucking idiots, you know. And what is that one girl? I've watched one girl on YouTube, Saskia or something, real pretty girl, gets in these Call of Duty lobbies and the craziest shit. It's like, oh, go make a fucking sandwich or something. I'm like, dude, this girl's dusting your ass and you're telling her to go make a fucking sandwich, you know. But it's funny though, because like I introduced her to that, she knows what Fortnite is. Plays that really big on that one. She loves Overwatch, so man, that's her game, man. You know, and I'm like, all right, cool. So it's something we can play, because she got into it because I was playing it all the time. Now it's like I'm learning how to balance my life a little more now as I go, and I start learning that, you know, if I take on too much, I've had instances where I take on too much. I try to do it. I want to play this game so bad. It's like I don't have enough time to play them, but I own like, God, too many games to even count, because a friend and I, we kind of file share. So we basically, what happens is you're tricking this to think that you're one place and his system's another place, you know, things like that. So we have all these games we play and download all these weird things. We're playing all this crap all the time, you know, and to her, it's just like, she's like, oh yeah, let's go do some. She's more an outdoors person. She's like, let's go outdoors. Oh, I don't like outdoors, you know? So so little by little, she's helping me get out more and, you know, do different things, like go for walks and go out and do hiking and things like that. So it's always interesting, but she knows I'm a huge nerd though. Like when we met, I literally had a whole room of just collectible shit. Like, I kid you fucking
I sold
not.
my fiance the dream that I'm not. And then when she got to know me, she slowly but surely realized. And then I have my own office games room / studio with cabinets and thousands of Pokemon cards and all of this. And slowly but surely, I just introduced her to these little parts of me. And I was just,
honey, don't worry, it's okay. Come in. It's okay, little girl. Come on, this trap is fine. There's nothing in here. We're not going to trap you in.
And then I did, but like, it's funny you should say about like outdoors and stuff, because I'm the same. I in my head, I love the outdoors. All I want to do is go climb mountains. When was the last time I went and climbed a mountain? Like 8 years ago.
Or was it touch grass? Go touch grass. Like, I had to explain that to her what touch grass means. What does touch grass mean? Tell them to go outside, touch grass. It means they need to get off the game. They're too sweaty or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny when she gets into it, because she gets like so focused, locked in, and you hear her, because we play in different rooms, and she's there screaming in there. Like, the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck is that noise? But it's great though, because she's making some friends. Like, she, you know, these people that she met online, because I've met a good friend online, and me and him are still best friends to this day. And she was like, yeah, I made these friends, you know, things like that. It was so great, because and we don't live in her hometown anymore. She moved away because it was just so toxic to be there, man. It was just fucking ugly.
Yeah.
But you do notice on the flip side, man, she's having better relationships with her kids and things like that. Hell, dude, I'm a grandfather twice over now because of her and I. And I was just like, oh God, it's like I'm fucking feeling old now, man. Like I'm in my almost 40 and I'm feeling old. And she's like, yeah, we're having grandbabies, and you see them, and it's just like, oh my God, dude. Like, it's so full circle. Like, I have kids of my own. Like, I have 3 of my own that don't even talk to me because they're so mad at me, and like, I was a horrible person to them too, man. And that goes to touch on thing mental health as well. It's like, I denied it for so long. I had these issues, even my narcissistic ex was the one that was highlighting like, hey, there's a problem, but at the same time, don't get it wrong. She's a covert narcissist. So this person will basically make themselves look good. So they'll trigger you, and they go, okay, look, he's acting crazy. And they start using all this stuff against you. And it's exactly what it sounds like, and she would just get me so mad. And then I wasn't sleeping much. I was drinking a lot. And then all these things started piling on top of each other. And then eventually at one point I started hearing fucking voices in the back of my head telling me, hey, listen, you should just kill yourself basically at this point because you're useless and everything else, because she kept triggering me to get off. And I get so mad. So I like throw stuff across the room, break stuff, put holes in the wall. Like, I was that really bad person that, you see all the time, like the person with really bad rage issues and things like that. But when I started looking into myself more, I found out that when I was 10 years old, I got abandoned. And, a lot of people are like, okay, well, you got abandoned. What about it? But you don't realize it's the ripple effect that has on your life going forward, And I have a lot of rage issues because a lot of times I get in certain moments, I'll just go snap right into a moment. I'll go back to that point, but I won't visualize it, but I'll be in that sense of like fight or flight because, I feel like if I feel like anybody's going to abandon me or I feel like it's going that way, I just get into a really panic state. I'll start freaking out. So getting real upset, get real loud, and it's horrible though, but it's happened and it's something I work on every day. And, I have this tendency to tell people just to leave too. Me and my wife have gotten into that conversation a few times. She's like, hey, listen, if you keep telling me to go, I'm going to go one of these times, but it's like one of those demons you battle like every day. So I've been working on myself as I'm doing the show too, because like that's the only highlight point most days for me is just, I get out and talk to these new people and things like that. And there's days I struggle with depression really bad. People don't even know because they ask me, hey, where you been? Oh yeah, I've been busy because I brush it away because I don't want, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm this. It's like, I don't want to hear all that. I already feel like shit. I don't need your help to feel like shit even more.
Yeah, no, I get
and
that.
It's a struggle, man. And then when my anxiety kicks in, which is every fucking day, basically, like my head will start like thoughts. Like, at first I had this real strange thing. It's going to sound weird to anybody listening to this, but like text messages, okay? I text my wife, and I freak out when she don't respond with an hour. So I'd call her, goofy shit like that. And she luckily understood exactly what's going on in my head. My brain was just going completely 1,000 miles an hour. So at first she had to like within an hour, if she didn't respond to a message, I usually call and check and see what she's up to. And she's like, she's been through some shit with me. So like she understands now I'm way better. But like I shoot a text. It's like, now I'm okay with it. Like when I send that text, I understand that it's not an actual conversation. It's okay, I'll look at it and I'll respond if it's important enough kind of thing, And like, I think that's the other thing when it comes to phones that's really will fuck with your head is that you can see when people receive and look at it. So you're like, whoa, okay, you basically left me on red. Fuck you kind of thing.
Why are you airing me? Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, man? It's like, it was a weird habit I have. And like, there's other little weird tics I have that, because of her, I'm working on them. Like I don't like criticization at all. I fucking hate it. I don't know what it is. It's just, I get so fucking angry. Like I'll start just getting so riled up and so juiced up and start getting mad about it. When somebody criticizes something I did and, I have problems admitting that I'm wrong about certain things, even though I'm blatantly wrong, clear as day I'm wrong. I just don't want to admit to it. I'll fight that motherfucker till the time I die. But it's just like, it's been an interesting journey, man. Since day one, like I said, she's been here since the beginning of this thing, but in the beginning she understood a lot of stuff, and it's great when you have a partner that understands a lot of the shit you're dealing with. And it's hard at the same time because she deals with, I'm gonna tell you a few things right now. She'll probably kill me for saying this, but she has PTSD, man. And let me tell you, if you've never experienced someone having PTSD moments, you've never fucking seen anything. Like we got into a bad argument one time. I don't remember what triggered her, but she came through the door, came back inside, swung on me and started fighting me. Like it wasn't the same person that, you knew every day. Like she just went into this complete blackout mode. After the whole, we were knocking stuff over. I was trying to restrain her because she was literally trying to kill me almost at one point. She was getting a knife out and things like that. doesn't remember any part of this conversation, mind you, when I was telling her about it, like, hey, what happened? And I was like, yeah, this is what went on, and it was like, that was my first moment of PTSD. Like, holy fuck, dude. And like, she tells me little bits and nuggets about what her dad and stuff, man. And like, if I could ever get her to come record an episode with me, I guarantee she's going to turn some people's fucking hair white just from the shit she's dealt with, because people don't realize like what people go through, man, and the things they've been through. And like, she's so traumatized by a lot of that stuff. Like, it's a constant battle every day, and you can watch her battle her demons and things like that too. Some nights, like I'll hear her in the other room just talking to herself, telling herself to shut up, and because she has these thoughts. And it's getting better though. Like the better things keep going for her, things like that. So like little things like that, I try to keep the house clean for her, because that's one thing, and stuff like that. All kind of plays factor in it. But that PTSD moment, dude, opened my eyes to a lot of shit. I was like, holy fuck, I never want to experience that again. It's horrible, because like that person is no longer there. They don't have an idea. And as she told me, oh, I don't remember any of what happened. What the hell happened? I was like, oh God, dude, we got in a fight. I actually hit you because you swung at me. I swung back, kind of thing. And it's not, not a proud moment. I felt terrible afterwards, but she was like, I don't remember this conversation. I was like, you don't remember this conversation? What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And
listen,
it's just,
I could sort of resonate with things like that. So, in pretty much everything you said, firstly, I'll touch on the whole, Xbox bringing your partner some friends, because dude, mine from America, she doesn't know anyone here, and she's met, in fact, I used to live stream gaming, and I still do a little bit, but this girl joined my live stream one time, and we became friends, and next thing you know, her and my fiance, well, she's going wedding dress shopping with her, they're best besties, they've
that's
been
awesome.
stayed together, so that's cool. And my partner Lena, she's been through a shitload, man. Like, she was like abandoned as a baby, adopted. She was then also chucked on a flight to New Zealand at 16 and said, see you later, enjoy your life, been through some shit. So I get it. Like, it's something you have to work on together. Like myself, like I say, I don't believe I struggle with anything sort of mental health wise, Now this is how I categorize it. So when I say mental health, I'm talking about, I don't suffer with anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've ever been depressed. I've been down, but I don't feel like I've ever been depressed, I've definitely got ADHD, and the doctors seem to think I'm on the spectrum somehow, which I'm going to find out. But a
lot of people are on the spectrum too, man. They don't find out until later on, man, until they're older, which is funny to hear.
And I feel like I'm only doing it to know, just so I know how to tackle myself,
Yeah.
It's not that I haven't been dealing with it well, but it's maybe I'll have a better understanding. But I have severe anger issues. Now, I can control them to a point. So like, I have triggers. So it's like, my grandma passed away last year. Anyone mentions my grandma, that's a trigger.
Yeah.
But me and my fiance, we've had multiple very, very heated arguments, and it's strange because I can keep them so locked down. I leave the house, boom, fucking psychopath.
No, not you. You're so gentle. Like, oh, little do you know.
Yeah, I really am, and it's crazy. I don't know how I control it, but like, bits add up and add up and add up and add up, and boom, it's like there's just certain triggers for me. But you were saying about not understanding PTSD until you've seen PTSD, right?
Oh yeah.
This question is going to sound very odd. Do you believe in ghosts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Do you believe in like demons and possession? Buddy. No fucking way.
No, I think all that's real, man.
Okay, cool.
I believe it all, man. So, like after, like I said, doing the show, like some of the people you interact with, though, you start to see these things are real. Like it's hard to explain how they're not real. Everyone's evidence. Like, then tell me how it's not. How about do the flip side of the fucking coin? How about you tell me how it's not fucking real? Because how do you explain these things?
Exactly that. So the reason I ask is so my mum, they actually diagnosed her with alcohol-induced schizophrenia, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, motherfucker, it was not alcohol-induced schizophrenia. I'll tell you exactly what it was. This woman was possessed by a demon. I'm like, dude. Now,
I believe you. I believe you.
Like, this woman, like, you know, my parents, they're from a rough part of England. So, you know, they did the fucking Ouija boards and all that shit, stupid, crazy shit when they were like drunk and whatever. They started dabbling with that shit. And the next thing you know, like I growing up, I seen some shit, but the worst thing I can remember is my mum, she's a alcoholic. She was in the corner, like, and I would have been like maybe 11, 12, and I've never seen anything like this, and I don't think I'll ever see anything like it again, fingers crossed, because it scared the shit out of me. She's sat in the corner of a room. Her eyes were, I kid you not, black, and she's looking like through me and rocking in a corner, talking about the Wajika man.
Oh shit! Okay,
dude. And she was like in like the manor after this for a little bit. Like they had to sort her out. She's on, but and I don't know. They said it was alcohol induced schizophrenia. I don't know if schizophrenia can be alcohol induced. I'm assuming it must be. If they can say
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to ask that for you. I got a good friend that's a couple of guys, psychiatrist friends. I'll have to ask him if that's possible for you.
If not, the devil. Like no joke. If
it
not,
very well be that though. Maybe she was hallucinating something and she's seeing this image of whatever she thinks it is. I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, ghosts do exist. I don't care what anybody says. You know, everything around us is made of energy. Think about like Albert Einstein said it best, that we're all made of energy, basically. You know, in these entities, that's how you feel them. They'll think about it. You feel like a touch of cold, or you feel like somebody, you know, something weird, like a staticky kind of feeling, like something is trying to talk to you. You know, and
so
I believe all that kind of shit.
Talking about it right now.
I bet, man, because you're just like, dude, you got to believe this fucking story, man. I can't make this shit up. It happened.
That shit, like, honestly, it's like it's crazy. So, like, you know, I've been around some shit. So, like, when you say like, you know, until you like been around certain things, you don't understand. It's like I get you, you know.
And then as to your point about your anger, you know what you're doing is you're bottling it up, and a lot of people make that mistake. You're pushing it down, so you have so much pressure that it just fucking. That's what happens to a lot of people, you know, in a lot of times that's what it sounds like. Everybody says the same thing. It's like, I keep pushing these feelings down, suppress them. And then something just triggers me just to go off, and then the anger just comes flying out. And it's like, you know, you'll learn these things as you go though. Like you'll find out that maybe that's what you're doing. You're suppressing your inner rage 100%. About something. And it could be a lot of times something to do with your mom, because like your childhood trauma right there, like you having to deal with somebody with schizophrenia. It's different for a lot of people, man. And it's just like, it could be she was going through an episode. You never know though. Like to me, that's what it sounds like, but you know, I'm not the expert. I just know from what I've done and had people talk to about it, you know, some schizophrenics hallucinate. Not all of them though. Now, I had a guy on that, he has schizophrenia for 55 years. And he was like, yeah, you know, but I didn't hallucinate. And it's like, okay, you know, and he was like, so it could have been very well that, you know, because like I said, it almost like a PTSD moment, because what it sounds like is just like what I dealt with. She would complete blank, like you don't see nothing, you know, and you don't see that person anymore. They're just looking through you. So they're not even seeing you. They're visualizing something else, you know, and they go into an autopilot of sorts. And it sounds like what she was dealing with, she may have been seeing something or some image of something, you know, going on, but it very well could be demons too. I mean, you think about it, a lot of times, you know, people start fucking around things they don't understand, especially Ouija boards, man. You got to be careful with that shit, because, you know, a lot of the stuff you start playing around things you don't know what it is. You may come in contact with something that goes kind of, you know, could do that very well. Just that, you know, like the Annabelle doll, the whole story with that thing was, you know, like they gave it a name, so then it gave it power. And it was like, you know, and then now they're fucking with it. Now I'm like, I don't know what y'all doing, man. Leave that motherfucking thing alone. Like if this thing moves on its own, I think you need to leave that thing the fuck alone, because it's like, this 100%. Was no joke. This thing was doing some crazy shit, you know? And then it's like, oh, now the doll's missing. I'm like, here we go. Now y'all fucking around, fate. You want to play with things you don't understand? Shit, like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's like Annabelle's going on a road trip. I'm like, Annabelle's not your normal fucking Barbie doll, bro. Let's stop playing with these things, you know?
We did a whole episode on ghosts, and I told some of my stories in that. It's kind of interesting, actually. And but so, like, with regards to like the mental health and all that sort of thing, do you take any steps yourself to like sort of like, so for an example, I tried grounding, I've tried ice baths, I've tried running, going to the gym, breath work, like all of these things I've, you know, dabbled with and tried. Like the gym for me was like a massive thing, but I do notice if I don't go,
my self deteriorates in a sense of I get way more agitated and things like that. Is there anything that you know that you hear, or what do you believe works best and things like that for yourself? Or
For myself, when I start freaking out in my head, my anxiety starts spiraling up, I have to tell myself that it's not real, because like I'll get an idea and it's like it's like one of those like carnival rides starts spinning real slowly, and then anything small, like somebody, not like I said, when my wife would answer messages in an hour or whatever, I start spiraling in my head and start getting these real it starts like having a panic attack almost, essentially. I start breathing heavy and I start feeling like my heart starts racing. In my head, I got to talk myself off the ledge a lot of times, because it's crazy though, because it's like, I never knew this is what that feeling was, but it's like now I'm having to teach myself new things, like, hey, listen, when you send a text message, it's not coming back right away. So you have to accept that, and there's still stuff I'm working on. So I have to, forgive my mom for when she abandoned me. That's still, I think the biggest struggle I'm having now is just how to overcome these things. But for myself, like I said, though, when I start getting these thoughts going and start panicking about things, I'll start doing like I'll try to stop myself from doing these things. Is like, we have Snapchat and stuff. So she has her location at all times. So like I'll go check it constantly. I start checking to see what she's doing. Like, hey, she's not answering me, but she's here at home and things like that. I got to tell myself to stop, like mentally, or I'll tell myself out loud. I'll say stop, and people look at me weird, but it's like I'm trying to tell my brain to quit, because when it starts going, it goes, man. And when it starts cycling, it cycles. And then you have a moment like, when it gets so bad, it gets to like, the movie Get Out, where the guy's in the chair in the end of the movie and he can see reality, but you can't touch reality because like it'll get that bad to those points. Like I'm freaking out internally. Like people will know something's wrong, but I won't tell them what's wrong, because a lot of times they respond with, oh, well, just don't freak out. Like my boss, I love her to death, has no fucking clue what she's talking about 90% of the time. I know she's trying though. She's awesome though. Me and her have had our differences, things like that. But she, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, we've been so close. Like she's like, listen, you just got to not freak out. I'm like, yeah, I wish that's like that, because I've had panic attacks at work where I started freaking out and I had to step away for a minute because, and take a deep breath and just talk me down. And then there's another guy I work with that's a good friend. He noticed that something was wrong, was out there talking to me down at the ledge, and a lot of times it'll sound weird to people, but you got to talk yourself down sometimes. So you got to keep talking to yourself, or like I'll use certain different methods. Like I'll use some music. If I start getting real upset, I pop an earpiece, turn some music on, or turn a podcast and try and draw my attention away from whatever it is that's, going. So I'm always listening to a podcast or music or something like that. Just something to try and keep my mind away. Cause if not, my brain will start locking on to things and it'll just start following it around. And here we go. Whee! And it just starts going like a carousel, and then my depression wise, it's just like, it's hard some days, man. Like the podcast is the reason sometimes I get out of bed. Like I'll let this stuff around me just not, and I start picking up after myself, leaving rooms messy, leaving stuff in the sink dirty, things like that. I just kind of like, I got to kind of force myself to get up and like, no, you need to come home. You need to fucking handle these things. You need to prioritize these things before you do anything. So like I use my video games as a reward too. Sometimes I'm like, well, you want to watch that anime, or you want to watch play this video game? Then you need to get your shit done like you're a little kid. And it's funny because you talk to yourself that way, and it's not negative self-talk, because I'm not being negative. I'm telling myself I need to take care of these things because they need to be taken care of.
You're sort of your own hype man.
Basically, yeah. Internally I'm my own hype man and things like that too. And it's hard, man. Some days you struggle because it's like, it could be the smallest thing to you. It could be small to me. It's like, I'm fucking freaking out on the inside. Like I'm sorry, I have 20,000 scenarios of panic attack about this and that and everything else, and a lot of times it's just talking yourself off the ledge works for me. Now this may not work for everybody. And understand, guys, if you go to therapy or you meet somebody that teaches you a new technique, try it for yourself. Don't try and do what everybody else is doing. Quit saying that shit of, oh, well, this worked for Sally. Well, that's not, Sally isn't you. At the end of the day,
everybody's different.
Exactly. Just like he just said, everybody is different. Understand that not everything will work for you the way you want it to, and sometimes you may have to try 5 or 6 different things, or like Josh is doing over there. He's he's doing all these different things, but like you'll find whatever works best for you, at the end of the day. Like there's so many different things. Just don't think that big pills and big pharma is the only way to go for everything. I mean, it's great to help manage the symptoms, but be careful because some of that shit, it's just the side effects just make you worry. If you really listen to some of these drug commercials, some side effects are hearing voices that aren't supposed to be there. And I'm like, but this is an antidepressant, correct? Like,
Yeah,
why
your
am I hearing things aren't they?
medication, the side effect is it may lead to depression. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Exactly.
Bro?
You know what I'm saying? It's like you keep wondering, what the fuck am I going on here, man? What?
Personally, I don't trust medication. I
Yeah.
don't really take anything like that. And I've always said, like, my biggest advice to anybody is, if anybody is like, even if they're just stressed or I've spoken to enough people who have suffered with depression, anxiety, and their advice and my advice, I always listen to people, is definitely work out or exercise or walk because it releases endorphins, which is a scientific fact.
Yeah.
But grounding is not scientific. But I promise you now, if you go stand on the earth barefoot for 20 minutes in the morning, your day feels better. I don't know what it is.
Hug a tree is what my good friend Catherine says. She's over there in Australia. She actually runs the Will Healing Matters podcast. She tells me that same thing too. Like, she says, just take off your shoes and go outside and stand on the ground, take a deep breath, and just take in nature, man, because
there's an energy flow, and it comes through you. Listen, we're born on this planet. Everybody is part of it. We're all together, and there's some energy that just flows, and oh my God, like it makes your day so much better.
Yeah, and meditation works for some people too. And like I said, she's big on that whole thing of like, hey, go outside and ground yourself, because I've told her a lot of crazy shit. Like, I'll panic in the middle of the night because for her, it's evening for you guys over there, basically, and it's day for us over here, or evening here. I'm up all night when she's up during the day. So like we text each other back and forth a lot of times and stuff like that. And that's all I'm texting. I'm surprised that I'm telling you, man, my wife looks at my phone. She's going to think I'm cheating because I'm talking to so many different people and just females in general. And a lot of times they're just friends. I'm like, they're just friends. I have no intention of anything happening. None of that. I'm not even close remotely like that. But it's nice to have people that understand those things, 100%. And that's the one thing she does. Like, she says, like, hug a tree and stuff like that. So people are looking at me doing some really weird fucking shit. And I'm like, I don't care if it works for me. You could look at me as a class clown all day. I don't care because I'm worried about myself at the end of the day. And that's my best 100%. Advice to anybody is to put yourself first, man. Understand that self-care is a real thing. And not enough of y'all do it out there. Like, it could be just watching your favorite show, playing a game, watching a movie, taking a walk, going for a swim, things like that. You need to prioritize yourself. And if people tell you it's selfish, fuck them, because it's not selfish. It's taking care of you at the end of the day. Because if you don't worry about yourself,
is, and I was just actually thinking when you were telling your story about you were talking about having like Snapchat locations and not getting texts back and so on. Dude, there's one thing I think I've always struggled with, and it's jealousy. I'm so bad for it. So like, we've got our locations turned on. She goes back to the States to see her sister or whatnot. She'll go and do this. Dude, that is the worst 4 days of my life. Yeah. Worst week of my life. I won't sleep. I'll stay up. I'll have to keep busy. If I'm not busy, I'm like, what's she doing? Who's she with? What, and I really suck at that. But I tell you what, something that I've found with that, again, this won't work for everybody, is I've just fucking jumped in the deep end. I was like, right. Because in past relationships, I've probably let it affect me.
And have you been cheated on before? Somebody did something to distrust. Just so y'all know, if you hear what he's saying over there, I'm going to tell you right now, it's somebody did something to him to make him feel that way, because that's what I've been through it too, man.
I mean, I'm 99% sure, but it was never proven.
Okay.
But like, yeah. But what I found is I was just like, jump in the deep end. I was like, right. Yeah. See, my thing was, I was always a bit like if you're going out, if you're going on a night out, don't text me. Turn my phone off. I can't talk to you, because I felt that was better. And then it was like, right, do you know what? Go stay with your friend for a night. Go to America. And each time I'm like, boom. And now, I kid you not, if she said to me tomorrow, I'm going to America for 2 weeks, I'd be annoyed because I've got to look after the kid on my own for 2 weeks, and that's fucking hard work. But I'd be like, have fucking fun. I'd also be super jealous because the UK sucks. But other than that, I'd be like, have a great time, So sometimes jumping in the deep end and pushing yourself in can really help.
Yeah, man. Only reason I asked that question, though, is because I was the same way, man. Like, I'd freak out. She'd go somewhere because she'd go back to visit her friend or whatever. And she told me some stories about things, you know, and I told her I was ready to hear it, but I wasn't, you know, and some things I've heard and things like that. So I'm always checking in on her to make sure she's okay. And I think that's the hardest thing though, too, is it was one of my worst behaviors I had was just like, but she understood though, like, hey, check in with me every so often. Now it's like, hey, just text me when you get home because she's home by herself at night. And I'm here, I'm at work or whatever at night, you know, just, hey, let me know you just got home okay. Or I know she'll forget. So the Snapchat thing helps because I can look at her location. And okay, and then she gets on Xbox and my notifications on my phone go off too. And I know it sounds weird, but it's like, it's relieving to me because I'm like, all right, I know where she's at. She's out in the game, whatever, it's fine. You know, don't worry about it. You know, no, because if I text her, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's controlling. No, it's not because she knows I have these things. It's not required to have these things. So the Snapchat location thing is though, just so I can, you know, it's a sense of security just so I know she's okay. Because if something happens, I can get to her location and go check out the last spot she's been at. That's the only reason for it. But at the same time, you know, I trust her, but like I've been cheated on and I know I was cheated on. And I found out it was that too, because like I started finding these little things that were happening and it fucked my head so bad that I couldn't trust people for a while. Like I didn't trust a lot of people or anybody that kind of felt in the same kind of notion that my ex would give. I gravitated towards them, like really toxic people. So there was a girl I was talking to before me and my wife were talking to. She calls her Big Mad because she'd do this thing where she'd manipulate you. She'd buy you gifts and things like that. And then they'd turn around and try and throw them in your face. Oh, well, I bought you all this stuff. Da, 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 you know, and like using it to basically control you. And I was attracted to that person for whatever reason because they were giving out flies to my ex because I've been with her for 15 years prior to this whole thing. And at first I was gravitating towards them. But then my wife came in and started causing a fracture in there and she knew it. So we had an incident. I got some bad information from her. You know, me and my wife stopped talking for a week. And I didn't realize it at first, but it was the most miserable week of my life. Like there was like shit everywhere. She came over to my house, dude. It looked like an episode of fucking Hoarders in this room I was in. So much shit everywhere. She's like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Yeah." Because I was like, I got a notion one morning. I was like early in the morning. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm like, "Hey, what are you up to?" She's like, "Nothing." And mind you, I had to work that night. So I literally went to go see where she's at. She's 2.5 hours away at the time. I drove 2.5 hours to go see her. And it was the greatest decision ever because ever since then, it's just, we've been together ever since. You know, we've been married for 2 years. You know, this will be year 3 coming up now. And it was the greatest decision ever, man. And it was so hard to trust people though, because she was so far away. Just like, you know, your fiance goes to the States. She's 2.5 hours away. So like we had a situation with her friend. He was in the background and said something and I heard something else and I freaked the fuck out. I was just panicking, but she played it so well. She was like, "No, you're good. It's understand." You know, the way she handled it, it made me trust her even more because I was like, okay, you know, now I know really can trust, you know, nothing weird is going on because the way she handled it made you feel so secure about it.
Yeah.
And as 100%. You go, she doesn't like people either. So like you'll learn that real quick if you ever get a chance to meet her. She doesn't like fucking people at all. She'll tell you herself. She like,
my fiance, she's a typical California girl, man. She fucking hates people. Like honestly,
I hate fucking people too. Like I love meeting people on this podcast. So everybody that hears this next statement, I fucking hate some of you people in the retail space. It's so fucking annoying. Some of you, I just want to scream, choke you, and just ask you, "Are you fucking dumb?" But I can't because I have to smile and nod at you. Fuck you guys, you know? It's like
I used to work in a phone shop and like selling like mobile phones and contracts.
Oh my God,
and
no.
It's exactly the same. I'm like, I fucking hate people. I'd get to the Friday.
Yeah, it's sad that that's what it is too, you know, that you know, it comes to that point that, you know, it becomes a game essentially. You know, you're trying to fucking see who's gonna play in this chess match. I'm like, well, guess what? I've been doing this for long enough. Fuck you, you ain't winning this game with me because I know your little tricks. Oh, yeah. I'll get upset and start yelling. Okay, you look like a deflated gorilla. What's your point? Go ahead. So keep blabbing away. Oh, listen, here's your options. A, get the fuck out, or B, do what you're going to go buy and call it a day. I just don't have time for your shit. At the end of the day, don't give me your bullshit. But I can't fucking stand people in retail, man. I actually dread hating going to work most days because it's just like the forced interactions of shit. And it's just, oh God.
I'm quite lucky. I actually love my job. I deal with people every day. I'm a telecoms engineer, so I travel different places every day. It's great. I love my fucking job. I meet business owners.
Just keep flexing. Go ahead. Just keep going.
What? But I think with anything, there's a oversaturation. Well, you can too much of one thing is bad, right? Yeah. So
no, I agree.
It's the same in retail. If you see people all day, every day, it's like I'm so fucking done with people. You know,
it is one of those things. But retail is not for the fucking weak. It is not for the weak, man. I can
You're right.
guarantee.
You're right.
Like,
It's not. I've seen it break a lot of people, man. I've seen a lot of fucking people go where I'm at, like, and people are like, "Why are you still here?" Because it pays my bills right now. Unfortunately, that's the thing. It's so hard because, you know, with everything going up in cost, it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's like,
same over here, dude.
if everything was getting cheaper, I'd quit this job next day and go find something else easily. But that's the problem. I'm trying to match what I make now, and it's like at this point, I'm like, that's why I feel so stuck where I'm at, you know. And you know, it's just it's fucking horrible. It's horrible some days, man. Some days I fucking dread it. But the nice thing about where I'm at is the early mornings of my mornings. I know all the people that are coming in, so I know what to expect from these guys. So it's that gray area from 9 o'clock that night, 9:30 at night when I clock in to about 2, 3 in the morning where my normal people come in. It's anybody's fucking game. Like, we've seen the cops almost shoot somebody there. A bunch of people get arrested. They've taken people's cars apart, you know, and start like taking them out, start searching their vehicles and things like that. We've seen some wild shit go on in this store, you know, and that was essentially what my original podcast, Pete's Corner Store, was about. It's like, I'm telling these fucking crazy stories. And there's one I told.
Yeah.
There's one I told, man, that you got to tell you this one. This girl was tripping balls. Okay. So the day before this incident happened, she was like eyeballing me across the fucking room. Like, I'm like looking at me like I'm a terrorist across the room. Like, hey, listen, what the fuck are you doing over there? Like, you know what's up. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, all night kept making these weird comments to me. I'm like, what the fuck? And someone kept telling me from the beginning, they're like, hey, listen, she's on drugs. She's on drugs. She's on drugs. Okay, cool. She's on drugs, whatever. So the next day she comes in, she's acting extra weird again. So she's slamming these energy drinks, those Bang ones. She's slamming 3 of them at the night. Right. First off, that's fucking insane if you think about how much caffeine this girl's taking in. Then she was like, she was extra kind of weird because she kept stopping and started like hallucinating. And I only knew she's listening. She's like, oh, I saw my friend out there. I'm going to go say hi to him really quick. Okay, that's cool. Go say hi to him really fast. I didn't realize it at first what was going on because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Then all of a sudden she fucking disappears. And I'm like, oh, fuck, where is this girl at? So I call her and say, hey, where the fuck are you at? She's like, oh, I'm out back at the store. Start like the thing she said would make any sense. So this is how it started going weird. It's like, okay. So that I'm in the kitchen because we have a little kitchen setting in our little area. We basically reheat stuff, make sandwiches and things like that for breakfast, you know, have a little assembly line. So like you can tell when people haven't worked fast food too when it comes to that shit. It's funny to watch them though. But she's over there taking care of people. Everything's fine. And all of a sudden she goes, Peter, I got to leave. Can't tell you. I got to go. I don't know what's up. I got to go somewhere. It's just like rambling shit on. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? What do you mean? I got to go, man. I can't stand it. Leaves all her personal belongings there, disappears. And I'm like, oh, fuck, we're in the middle of a rush, man. There's all these people coming in. So I'm going back and forth. It's like, oh, shit. They're like, where's your person? Oh, my person just essentially walked out. So the next manager that comes in around like 5:30 to relieve us usually and starts transitioning, taking over. She's like, where's your person at? Well, that's a good fucking question. Let's go figure out. It's like playing Where's Waldo? Where is she at? You tell me because I can't find her. What do you mean you can't find her? Exactly what I just told you. I can't find her. I don't know where the fuck she's at, you know? And she's like, what do you mean? And then apparently around like 6 a.m., she's coming back because we have an IHOP next door. And she's walking from behind the parking lot, mumbling to herself. I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, and she's already off the fucking rails. So my boss, like, she comes in, doesn't say anything. My boss, me and her in the back area where she's like gathering her stuff, like nothing's big deal. And she looks at me, hey, what's up? I'm like, what's up? And I'm like, I didn't know what to say. It was like a standoff. And then my boss is like, hey, come here and talk to me for a minute. So she goes and tells my boss, hey, we got to go to the parking lot across here. The grocery store's over there. We got to go. There's a plane going to land. Guys got to come. The birds told me he's coming. And she's like, the fuck are you talking about? The birds? I'm like, the fuck? What do you mean these fucking birds are coming to talk to you? She's like, she's trying to tell us. She's like, yeah, you know, she's like, tell me the birds are coming and whatever. You know, I got to go over there. He said, Chelsea, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I got to go visit the birds. The birds told me this guy's going to come land a plane in the parking lot over across the way, you know. And I'm like, the fuck is she talking about? What plane did they land in? Like, what the hell's going on here? So she's like, okay, well, hold on. Goes inside, gets this thing and says, hey, listen, I need you to take a drug test before you come back to work. So doesn't take this drug test, clearly doesn't even show up for this thing at all. No one says anything to her. And then she disappears. So I seen her recently. She came in and was talking to me and I was like, dude, you look a lot better. Are you doing okay? She's like, yeah. She won't tell us what it is she was dealing with at the time, but she had a lot going on. Her dad would come in And the night it happened, I said, "Hey, have you seen your daughter?" I said, "She just disappeared, man. She's supposed to come in, and she isn't here." So that's when we
Yeah.
started getting worried. Like, we had no idea what happened. It turns out she got into an accident when she left that morning. She had gotten into an accident real bad. She was in the hospital for a few days, but it was too embarrassed to call our boss and tell her that's what happened. I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Call and tell her what happened.
Yeah,
Why are you
just
so worried
say.
about?" But she was like, "Yeah, and I was like, the fuck?" So I told
Yeah.
that story in my original podcast. The first like 10 episodes was just me telling these wild fucking stories of things I've dealt with in customer service, and I got to that episode, and a lot of people are like listening because they want to know that what the hell happened. So all the other employees at the store were listening to this thing going, "Oh fuck, what happened? I got to hear this. What the fuck is crazy shit's going on here?" So they're listening to these stories and going, "Are these real?" I'm like, "Yeah, these are all real things I dealt with." Like I told the story about how I got robbed at gunpoint at one point, and things like that, and fucked up movies I had watched and things like that. I just came with random topics at first, and then when I brought a
Yeah, yeah.
co-host in, that was a fucking disaster, dude. It just went to hell in a handbasket. Like, she was really extreme about certain topics. At first, it was kind of fun. We were having a good time with it. And then when we got to the third season of this show, she had literally just started going off the fucking rails with just weird shit. Well, hey, listen, I adopted a Fortnite Asian off the server. I'm like, and me, I'm just going with this, not thinking anything about this shit. I'm just like, okay, this is a joke or whatever else, And she's literally serious. She's like, I adopted a Fortnite Asian. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, his name's so-and-so. He's like 12 or 15 years old. I'm like, dude, listening to what the fuck you're saying? Like, dude, are you listening to the fuck you're saying right now? Like, listen to what you're telling people. You're telling people you adopted a Fortnite Asian. And at the time, I thought it was funny because I didn't think anything of it, obviously, because we were having a good time. Didn't take anything serious. We were just fucking around. But she was serious. She was like, yeah, his name's Winks and this and that. Turns out this kid's like 17. I was like,
God.
what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? So that's how she started talking about, I adopted a Ford Asian. I'm like, huh? What did you just do? And, the episode just kept getting weirder from there, like just different shit. I think the most listened to one was just Buzz versus the instructions. And I don't remember what conversation we were having. She was in the background building a desk or something while we were talking or whatever, recording this thing. And she was just like, I don't remember what the conversation, it had to be the most random fucking conversation, but it had the most downloads ever. Like every month, it was the only one showing up with the most downloads. I'm like, what the fuck did we talk about in that conversation? So I had to go back and listen to it. It's the most random shit ever. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's do a Buzz versus the instructions too and see what happens. And it was just like, people were listening to this shit at an alarming range. I had like 700 downloads in the first month I went to, like, as I was using Podbean at the time. So we were recording mostly audio.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, and it was like, she would say the most obscure fucking shit. Like, and I didn't think about it at the time, what she was saying, but she said some wild things on there. And then she started getting really sexual. My wife was getting upset, got pissed at me for a couple of days and was like, well, this is the reason why I'm so mad. I'm like, okay, so let me know so I can talk to her and be like, hey, listen, we got to tone it down a bit here. This is getting a lot of hand. Then she wanted to go political and it was like, oh, we should open this room and start a war because I don't like Trump or, I don't like this person. So she wanted to start a war. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. My name's on this fucking show. We're not going to go play warfare here. If you want to go start Buzz versus politics, you go ahead and start that shit. Don't include me in it. And that's essentially what I think it was supposed to happen. Honestly, man, as fucked up as it sounds, because Pete versus Anxiety would never be here had I not had that issue to the point where I'm like, I need to take a break from this show because we had brought one of her friends in and it was causing friction. I was trying to get these guys together, try and figure out ideas for show plans. And it was like they weren't in it as much as I was, and I'm like invested. I'm like, I'm trying to get this
fucking
thing.
Hard. That's hard. Like, this podcast has evolved so many times. It started off called Breeze and Bands. So it was just me.
Yeah, I saw that. I remember that when I get to my friends. I was like, okay.
Just chatting shit. It was just three lads talking shit, talking about like, shit we did as teenagers, going out, getting drunk, sleeping with girls.
Yeah.
That sort of like, male culture shit. And then
the male camaraderie.
and then I said to the lads, I was like, look, man, I want to do something different. I want it to be more like, based on like more topical. Let's talk about something,
Mm-hmm.
So then it was like, cool. We did 10 episodes and it was, ghosts. And then it was mental health. And then it was the history of marijuana. All these things were just, bang, bang.
I get you.
Which was fun. And then it was like, right, now I want to talk about getting guests on and let's talk to people. Let's learn about people, so then I sort of fucked one of them off. We no longer talk. So I definitely fucked him off. which is fine. And then it was just me and Jamie, my uncle, who also sometimes jumps on. Who, again, for me, it's like I need 100%. I am 110% right now. Like I am 110% in this, and I need somebody else 110% in this. And it's so hard to mirror yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
and
I get
that's
that
what I've
completely.
struggled with.
Yeah, see, that's the problem too. I was 110%. Nobody else wanted to be 110% with me. And she's like, "Oh, I wasn't really taking this that serious." So cool, then fuck you. This is the breaking point. Was that she said that to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, fuck you. Then I'm done. I'm just gonna take a break. I'm gonna refocus. And my wife was like, well, don't rush back into something. And I was like, I had this feeling like I need to start something, and that's what drove me towards that. And then we had the incident that caused everything to cause me to go get my mental health checked out and start realizing that I have these problems I'm dealing with. And then I was like, you know what, that it just hit me one day. It's just like the apple from the tree scenario bumps you in the head kind of thing. And it was just like Pete versus anxiety. Why not? Like I said in the beginning of the show where we were talking earlier, I was like, it was like me battling my anxiety every day. So I invited these people to come tell their stories. At first it was about stories.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I've had people come and tell some stories, and I was like, yeah, okay. I like it. So now I mixed in a blend of bringing in experts of people that have different specialized fields and things. Now it's like anybody that wants to talk mental health, let's go. We'll get you on here. We'll go. But Podmatch has been the most where I get most of my people from, because it gives me a little kickback, which is nice because it's, I make a little money, and at the same time, I'm getting people on that are talking to me about like really interesting people about different crazy ass topics, meeting all these different people around the world and things like that too. And had I never done that, I would have never met my friend Catherine, and I ran into another woman named Melissa. She does one called the Emotionally Unavailable. She's a fucking blast, dude. I'm going to see if I can get her to come do an episode with you. You'll have a fucking blast with her, dude. She's fucking great.
I'm cool for anything, man.
I was saying, man, like there's a bunch of cool people I've met, but like we were talking about earlier though, like if I never did this podcast, I never had these things happen. It's like the universe was telling me you need to do something. And, like I'm getting people that are more successful than I am or in a different place telling me the same thing. It's like, hey, you're doing great. And it was the same thing I went through. The evolution of just changing the topic around a little bit and just focusing my direction to, let's bring in some experts and different people doing different things, So like I invite anybody to come talk mental health with me, The idea is just to break the stigma that we're not talking about it enough, which we're really not. All these other podcasts showing up, it feels so fucking great. Because one girl I met, she does I Need a Friend, and she's only 12 episodes into this, and I see a lot of things that I saw myself in the beginning. I was like, I'm so glad she's at this point now, because I'm like, get ready, gear up, because you're gonna have some fucking interesting conversations with these people. And she's all happy, excited. Oh my God, it's so great. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, I love it though for her, because I'm like, I see myself a lot in her, and the excitement I have now is like, I'm getting ready to click because I get to meet these people, I've got ex-NFL players that are going to be on the show coming July. I've got one, he played in the 90s, but then, people are like, oh, what was he a big star? It doesn't matter. He played in the NFL. Have you fucking made it to the NFL? No. This guy got to the NFL, played for a couple of years, It'll be interesting to get the mindset. And then I do have another one I have to set up with. He was a Muay Thai fighter, champion Muay Thai fighter. This guy's a champion Muay Thai fighter, and he was, I'm like, and I got so many people in my boxes that I'm just like, I have to try and get dates with, because it's so hard to juggle them with people. Because I don't want to overwhelm the schedule right now. Because in the summertime, I have my little one that comes and stays with us. So like, that's why my screen normally my screen set up and everything else. Like, and in the summertime, I'll probably be recording in the living room most likely. So I'll be in my original setting where I was, my armchair and stuff out there. But like, it's the great thing about it is that this is audio as well. So like I extract the audio and I send it over to my guy who's like, I think he said like 7 months behind, honestly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I cut that much. Shit. Yeah. I've already hit 100 live episodes and the show's not even a year old. I'm trying to hit 200, honestly. I'm going to try and shoot for 200 episodes. I know it's a lot. I may push myself a little harder just to see if I can do it. But at this point, I'm like, why not? Because all the great people that keep coming on the show, making different friends. And then I'm working on some bonus content too. There's a men's mental health panel I'm working on getting together. We're trying to figure out the time and the whatever works. I was shooting for like Mondays around like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock my time that we can get together and do it in between my other 2 episodes I do, because I have the 10 a.m. one I'm already committed to. That's the only one I have to show for. Then the 3 o'clock one was just because I had an extra space and fill it in because there's such demand. But,
Yeah, yeah.
my goal is eventually to make this a full-time gig if I can, and it'd be great
That's
to
the
just
dream.
podcast all day. Oh my God, it'd be great. So I'm going to
Isn't
do
it
that. I'm going to
just?
do some like anime podcasting. I'm going to have to reach out to you about that one and see what you think there.
Yeah,
It'd be
man.
like one of those once a month thing get together. We'd figure out like how they format it because I'm still trying to work on the format and everything like that. I'm thinking what we'll do is either we'll do one show or we'll do like a few episodes or something and record like do like twice a month or something and just kind of record or do it by seasons or whatever, however we want to break it down and just talk about it. That way everybody has enough time to watch if they haven't seen it and things like that too. Cause I got a friend,
Yeah.
she's a massive Dragon Ball Z fan like we are, dude. Like I'm talking massive. Like you get her talking and she's like, oh yeah, all talking about this anime. And it's funny to see because you never see it coming. But yeah,
That's
I'm always
crazy.
thinking new ideas and subscription based content I can come up with. And it's just, a lot going on right now. I'm trying to figure all these things out because now my schedule's starting to smooth out so I can plan around it. I had a conundrum the other morning. I had fucking double booked myself at 2 time spots and I'm like, fuck, here we go.
Shit.
Well, luckily one of them canceled and said she couldn't do it anyway. So I was like, all right, cool, problem solved. The other person, she's like, well, I could do 8 a.m. the next week. So next Thursday, 8 a.m., I'll be recording with somebody, which is not usual, but it's because I owe this person a date and it's one of those commission interviews. So I'm like, forget it's a commission interview. We're going to grind it out at 8 a.m. I'm going to come ready, and the funny thing is, man, I don't even prepare half these interviews. I look like 30 minutes beforehand at what I'm going to talk about and I just go from there. And it makes everybody laugh because they're like, say like everybody laughs about it, but my own family members watch my show and go, well, you sound so intelligent. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you got to think about like you're the middle child, so you're not heard as much. You're that one because you're loud enough that people hear you just a little squeak, but then you're not noticed enough. And it's like, well, no, you guys never gave me a time to talk. You never listened to anything I had to say. Oh, because you were so angry at the time. But did you ever think why I was angry? Because you all didn't let me talk. You all acted like I didn't exist. I felt like I didn't exist, and that's where I was on the edge of suicide a lot of times is because like, it's like you just feel like you don't exist. Like it's like nobody notices you're there and things like that. And I spent a lot of time alone as a kid. So when I moved to my dad, it was just me and my siblings stayed with my mom. So I was by myself like almost 24, a lot of times by myself because my dad's girlfriend would come home and she just like stay in a room mostly away from us to do her own thing. She would just make sure I was surviving. That's it. I go, you didn't eat, okay, make dinner. And that was it, and she had a little boy. I hung out and spent a lot of time with him and things like that too. And we'd hang out, and I moved a lot. And I didn't have a lot of friends as a kid. It was hard for me to make friends because I kept moving every place and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So like I didn't really know many people, just like, your fiance didn't know a lot of people. I didn't know anybody. Like the next door neighbor kid and I would hang out all the time when we finally made it to one place. And then it turned out my dad was cheating on his girlfriend at the time with my stepmom now.
Shit.
And I didn't know that. So his girlfriend was grilling me for questions. And then we had to live in a hotel for a bit too. And in my summer, that's what I spent. My summer I spent in a hotel room for the summer, and it was weird because that's all I did. I didn't have anywhere else to go. I couldn't leave this room because there's nothing to do because that's just what it was. Like they'd come in and out, take turns watching me. And the only reason somebody was there because they had to be there. And eventually we moved to a house the second year of high school. And that's when I started making some friends with people that I'm still friends with now that I talk to most of them usually, but a lot of them I've lost touch with just because I moved away from Illinois where I was originally. I moved to Texas because that's where I'm born and raised originally. So then I came to Texas and then my ex and I had been talking for a while. We kind of dated when we were younger. She was a couple grades lower than I was older than she was. She had that whole scenario gumming up things. So when I left, and I came down to Texas, eventually me and her reconnected. She came down and it was probably the worst fucking decision of my life. But at the same time, I have these 3 girls, and it was great because I had them, things like that. I got a little codependent on them because, but then at the same time, she played into my mental health issues and, I had my rage going and I was drinking, which was fueling that even more. And I wasn't sleeping. And I said some unsavory things to these poor kids. I yell and scream a lot of times. These poor girls have gone through a lot of shit because of me, and now I'm trying to rebuild a relationship with them, which, it's hard though when it comes to those kind of things. I even had a daughter who was adopted when their older sister, she's 18 now. I'm planning to reach out to her and like, fuck, I don't even know what to say to her, man. Like, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get her on the call or we're going to meet and I'm just going to know what to fucking say. It's going to be a fucking mess because I'm just like, what do I say to this little girl? Cause you could come out to say, well, your mom was a piece of shit for not letting me see you. But at the same time, her mom, I wish I could tell her mom, it's like, you did the best decision possible getting her away from me, because I was not in the right state of mind. Like, I was not the person to be around. Like, she must have known it. She had the feeling of it, and she stood her ground with it, and I may even try to reach out to her mom and tell her, hey, listen, hey, I appreciate it when you did this. It's going to sound fucked up, but I appreciate you taking her away from me, because I was a toxic person. I didn't see that, and a lot of times you don't see that. Like, when you have blinders on, you don't see it around you and things like that, man. And it's hard, man. It's like, she knows I'm a person. She knows I exist, because the new dad was adopted too. So, so he knows, she knows that I'm a person. I met her when she was 5. And after that, I hadn't seen her since then, and I tried to get in touch with her mom, and her mom won't talk to me, but the stepdad would, because we had a situation where she had filed for child support. Apparently the two of them had split up, and the state was trying to come after me because I'm still technically on her birth certificate. So I'm still her legal dad on her birth certificate for whatever reason. I was like, hey man, I said, they're coming after me for child support, but she's not my kid. You adopted her. And he's like, yeah, you got to get the adoption records from Ohio, which during COVID was a fucking nightmare, because you couldn't.
I can imagine, yeah.
You couldn't get shit from them. So like, I got the article from him that they posted in the paper and everything else. And he was nice to give it to me, because he understood my point of view. It's just like, I'm not trying to do anything but, trying to get out of this, because it's not me. Like I said, if she was adopted, unfortunately, that's not my responsibility anymore. And the state didn't see it. They're like, well, your name's on here. Yeah, my name's on the birth certificate. So I don't know if they changed it originally or not, but she still sees my name on there, and that whole fucking scenario went down, and he was batshit crazy. So the girl that was most like my ex, that was causing a lot of problems for me, she was talking to him for me to get the information, like, because he wouldn't really talk to me as much, because he hated my guts, because my ex was getting on my phone or my Facebook account and messaging them nasty things while I was asleep, because I'd work all night, and I'd be working like 45 to 60 hours a week. I was working for a convenience store down there in the South Chain. I was working with them, opening a bunch of stores and things like that. So I was always gone working, because she wasn't working. So she was sending them nasty messages and saying like, oh, me and Peter are going to steal your kids. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do any of that fucking shit. What are you talking about? Like, why are you fucking telling people this shit? And when I was at work one day, and there was like, she's calling going, oh, they're trying to leave. They're leaving. They're taking off. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I tried to call and talk to them, and they wouldn't talk to me, because they're upset, because she's doing all this talking, and I'm not noticed. I didn't know this was going on, because I'm so tired. I'm busy, going to work. I'm at work all day, dealing with these things. And, my dad calls me and says the same thing. He's like, yeah, they're leaving, because your ex is over there telling them that she's going to fucking steal the kids or whatever, because they were, it was some fucking crazy shit, bro. I didn't know this conversation was happening, and I was like, holy shit. And
nuts.
I haven't seen her since that time, like I said, I know my dad has seen her though. I've seen pictures of her. I'm excited to try and reach out to her. So now it's like, how do I reach her? Because now she's 18, she's an adult. Now I can technically reach out to her, and we can talk. I can, try and rebridge the gap between us. Like I've been thinking about the scenarios how to play in my head. And my wife said it was best just to say, talk to her, just like, hey, how you doing? And just worry about her. But
100%.
It's hard, man. It's hard. I'm like, I'm really excited to try and reach out to her though, because I know she's 18 now, and I want to reconnect her, because she's so close to me. She's on the other side of Dallas, where I'm on this side of Dallas. So we're not that far away. I'd like to be a part of her life,
All you can do is try. And that's the one bit of advice I give everybody, no matter what it is, what you're talking about or anything like that, is all you can do is try.
Yeah, no, I agree, man.
And,
it's rough.
And, people say if at first you don't succeed, you try again, right?
Yeah, man.
Within reason.
Yeah. I'm going to try and reach out to her, man. And then, trying to rebuild things. But there's a whole story set. There's just shit like, I'm going to go deep into it. I'm going to record. I haven't decided how I'm going to do it. I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to record my own episode where I tell everybody the just straight, honest truth about everything. Like, I leave little bits out because I'm ashamed of what happened. But I think it's time for me to start telling the real story. And I feel like, I think somebody gave me the best advice, was like, you're going to put it out there, and it's going to fucking be out there, because it happened. There's nothing you can do about it. But you're owning your own mistakes and the things you did, and the poor things you put these kids through. And it was fucking horrible. I did some horrible things to these poor girls, man. They did not deserve any of this shit. And then her mom and I were weaponizing them, and it gets fucking gritty, man.
It's better you tell your story than anyone else.
Exactly. And it's coming to the fruition of having to just sit down and record it. I think after the summer, that's the plan. Is I'm going to sit down, record it. I'm gonna post it out there, and it's gonna be, this is what it is from front to back. Like, I'm gonna tell them, trigger warning. This may upset you after watching this episode, but this is my fucking 100%. Story of my life. This is how
I'm gonna hold you to that.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I promise. Yeah, it's hard, man. It's just hard, but it's like, I think it's time. Something keeps telling me that I need to tell the real story about Pete, and everybody else is like, that's how I started. I told my story of everything, and then the conversations got real. I'm like, it's funny. I talked to everybody else about everybody else's story, and a lot of people have asked me that question too. They poked a little bit at it, like, hey, well, who is Pete? And I've done all these interviews. I've done tons of interviews. I've done interviews with all these podcasts, and I tell very little of the story, because a lot of it, if I went into it honestly, I could go for a couple hours and just go run through things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan exactly how I'm going to do it. Now, I may do it in increments. I'm going to just do it some straight, just fat block of a fucking drop and just like, here you go. This is a story, but it's got to get told. I think it'll feel better after I bring it out.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I hint at it a lot of times. I don't tell people, but it gets pretty gritty at times. Like, dealing with a narcissist for 15 years, it was just like the thoughts, the emotions, them fucking with your head, gaslighting you. A lot of drugs are involved. Alcohol is involved. Like, I'm telling you, when I say alcohol is involved, I'm talking those big fucking cans. I shotgun like 3 of those in about 20 minutes, and I go online and I literally verbally abuse people. And there's so many people I have to apologize. And I'm going to do it in the story. I think as I go, I'm just going to go tell the story. As I hit the markers where it hits somebody, I'm going to apologize to this person, because I think at this point, it's like they didn't deserve the path I went on. And there was a nice guy from California I'd met through another friend. And I was just like, I felt so bad, man. Like, this poor guy did not deserve what happened. Like, I got drunk so bad one night that I just started verbally abusing this guy for no reason. Like, I was just being a total dickhead for no reason. I was gone. I shotgunned all 3 of these. And I'm talking, when I say shotgun, I'm like, literally, you're watching people shotgun a fucking beer. I'm shotgunning these. And then I'm getting online. I'm stressed from the day already. I got her bitching at me about something because I've been at work all day, and it's, all that stuff piled together. And I just unloaded it on him. And this poor guy just got fucking abused. Like, when I say abused him, I fucking verbally beat this guy up. I beat him down. I was fucking just like, if this guy didn't commit suicide, I was fucking shocked he didn't, because he was like, he took a fucking tongue lashing and he didn't deserve any of it. And anybody that interacted with me around that time, it was fucking horrible, because, we make a lot of those comments about like a Call of Duty lobby in the 90s. We were fucking savage in those things, man.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been there. We know what it's like. It's been fucking savage for us, but it was just like,
you get thick skin from that shit. Trust me, my skin is so thick now after that.
Right.
Well, listen, I want to hear that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you though. You'll be the first person to send it to.
I listened to like 2 of your episodes today on the way home, actually, just to get like a vibe, and I enjoyed it, and I'm going to carry on listening to it. And what I want you to do for me now is tell these bitches listening how they can listen to it, bro.
All right, guys, you can find me live on YouTube most days of the week. If you check on my tabs or follow my page, there is a live tab. If you click on it, it'll tell you usually when my next episodes are. Actually, when I get done here about 3:30 to my time, I'm going to be interviewing somebody today. I had to move it around, but normally I'm on during the mornings or whatever. 10 a.m. Mondays is when my weekly show is. The audio side, every Wednesday is when my new episodes drop. So now that one's a little behind because I have one person working in the sound, but you guys can listen to me where you want to. Like, as I always tell everybody, I'm on Spotify down to iHeartRadio. I'm on X all the way down to TikTok, and it costs absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody, and I always end the show with, one kind act can save someone's life, or you can even save their day. I go, I'm Pete for his anxiety. I'm saying, hey guys, don't ask how your day is. Ask how your mental health is today, and you guys can, any support, anybody wants to be on the show, reach out to me, guys. I'll put you on. If you got a story to tell, I'll give you the place. You may have to wait a little bit though. I'm a little booked out till almost October, but you'll get you in there. I promise.
Let's go. Listen, guys, I appreciate everyone listening to this episode. As always, like I say, if you got this far, remember to get on all my socials, like and share. There's always something there. I'm always posting shit. So just talk to me on social media, because I got ADHD and I'll reply 100 times. So don't worry about it. But check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, fucking literally the list. We're on it all. But thanks everyone for listening. Peace out. Love ya.
Later, guys. Thank you so much.